Australia does not spend enough money on defence, measured by the task it has set out for itself.
I think we probably do spend enough money on defence because I believe that there's still a lot of waste in defence.
I'd like to see a bit more, but I think there's also savings that can come out of defence.
I can say categorically no, that Australia does not spend enough money on defence.
To reduce spending, as the government has done, to the lowest percentage of GDP since World War II is obviously a serious national error.
If you want the ADF to be able to be a miniature US Marine Corps, for example, then no, we don't spend enough.
If we want a defence force which can provide token support for the United States in the wider Asia Pacific and undertake modest independent operations in the immediate neighbourhood, then 1.5% of GDP is enough.
Without a clear and direct existential threat to Australia, it's very hard to justify to the public, to the community and to the policy community as well of a massive increase in defence funding.
If we want a defence force which can make a substantial contribution to supporting the United States and wider Asia Pacific, undertake substantial operations independently in the immediate neighbourhood and also defend Australia independently from the force of a major Asian power, then we're not spending nearly enough.
You know, the government is really playing something of a two-card trick now to say that you can actually deliver all of the things that were promised in the expansion plan in the much more reduced defence budget world.
Should we spend more on defence? Of course, every country probably would like to spend more on defence. But do we need gold-plated fighter planes, gold-plated ships, you know, limousines and drivers for generals? No, we don't.
But if you keep cutting into the defence budget, you will inevitably lead us down the path to second-rate defence force.
1.5% is too low if it's there for an extended period of time. If we are going to modernise the Defence Force, clearly I think the defence budget would have to be increased.
If the Australian Defence Force is going to play the role that I've suggested it needs to play of contributing in a substantial way to regional security, we are going to have to get the defence budget back into growth territory at some stage in the next 1 or 2 years.
The clash between budgets and aspiration means that we're actually going to have to go back and look at some of those fundamental questions. What's the ADF going to do, and what's a reasonable limit of our aspirations?
I believe that there is a certain level of military force, and it lies at about 2% of GDP. It looks vaguely like Force 2030 that came out of the White Paper 2009, and it would still require an increase of about 3% per year.
I don't think percentage of GDP is a good way to measure it. We still have a very healthy defence allocation.
It needs to be somewhere between 2 and 3%, but absolutely guaranteed and locked in, so that we can reasonably quickly start to acquire modern capabilities. Why quickly? Not against an extant threat, but against the very ageing and falling into second-rate nature of our present capabilities.